Okay, so over the past couple days, I've listened to Management's first two albums, Oracular, Spectacular, and Congratulations. And I will just go ahead and say that my understanding is that MGMT is an abbreviation for management or the management. So I will be referring to them as that, although occasionally, facetiously, I might just pronounce it as Migment, because I don't know, I find that funny. But I listened to their first two albums, and I tried to do something that I haven't done the past couple years when I've been listening to albums. I guess a couple things. Number one, I'm actually trying to talk about the albums not long after listening to them, and really kind of trying to sit with them and write notes about them rather than just, cool, I listened to it, let's move on to the next one. So hopefully they'll kind of stay with me a bit better, because I've noticed the past few years, with a few exceptions, and sometimes that's not even the album as a whole, it's just been like a song or two, a lot of the albums I've listened to haven't stuck with me, and I would like to see if I could do something to change that. The other different thing I did was I tried to listen to every song twice, or at the very least, even if I only listened to a song once, to look over the lyrics afterwards. Like, okay, now that I'm kind of sitting with it, I remember how the song sounded, remember kind of the vibe, let me look over the lyrics and just kind of think about it. So I will say, I guess I'll go ahead and also say, I don't plan on really rating anything. Like, all right, you're going to get this many stars, or this letter grade, or this number out of 10. It's just maybe at the end of the year, if they all stick with me a bit better than they have the last few, I'll do like an honest to God tier list of all the albums I've listened to, or when I finish an artist, might just do a specific tier list for them. We'll go as we go when it comes to that. But so far, we've gone through two. Like I said, Oracular, Spectacular, and Congratulations. I loved both of them. The two of them have very different, at least to me, they have very different vibes and energies. Like, they sound completely different. One is a pop album, and from my understanding, it's meant to be like a parody of pop albums. At least some, like from what I understand, Kids in particular, I don't know if it's the album as a whole or like just that song, is very much supposed to be a parody. It's like, let's make the most stereotypical pop song possible. And I really like that song, so it kind of annoys me. I'm like, well, shit, I guess it worked, because this fucking song has been stuck in my head all week. Like, literally just a few minutes ago, I was going to get gas, and as I'm getting out of my car to go pump gas, I'm just boom, 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 boom. And just like, it's just like filled space in like so many moments the past few days. Like, I'm in between tasks, like I'm reading Catcher in the Rye, because I started reading the book and I'm really liking it so far. I'll just like, all right, like let me close the book and like go do something else. And as I'm in that process, it's so catchy, dude. It's great. And it's, yeah, I guess they did make the most stereotypically catchy pop song possible, because it worked. But in addition to that, the whole album to me has this very dreamlike quality. I think it's a combination of just like the way that the synth sounds, and often just how soft the vocals are, and just some of the songs in general, and like some of their lyrics, which a lot of which I didn't write down. But like I said, I did try to listen to them a couple times and look through them. Like, what was it called? I think it's called Fourth Dimensional Transfer. That one in particular, I think that's the one that also has like that really lovely humming outro. Like, this has a very dreamlike vibe to it. And then Electric Feel is a bop. But like listening to her, like really kind of, again, like looking at the lyrics, like, yeah, this kind of feels like, I mean, I could definitely see it as a metaphor for drug use, but just that it's like, I'm going to go on a trip, I'm going to go on a journey, I'm going to feel electricity, and I'm just going to enjoy the vibe and enjoy the ride. And that's kind of how it all feels. Like, it opens with Time to Pretend, which is a song all about, like, this is the fantasy I have. This is the dream that I want to live. And I feel like the whole album really just feels like that. There's also a lot of songs that have this strong sense of nostalgia to them. Kids is very much about that. Time to Pretend has that too, which in addition to like, this is the life I want to live, part of it is, yeah, part of the life I want to live is having a point where I'm looking back at my life and I'm thinking about the people that I've missed and the memories that I've left behind. But I'm just gonna keep going because I'm riding that wave. Kids, like I said, very much feels like it's about nostalgia and kind of missing that time, or at least very much reminiscing over it. To me, the youth felt like that too. It very much felt like, the world is changing around you and you're seeing the next generation grow up and kind of thinking about your own youth, the youth is changing now. This is not what it used to be when I was younger, and not necessarily in a good way or a bad way, but just kind of having that vibe and that energy of seeing the next generation growing up. There's definitely this sense of get what you can while you can get it, like maximize your life. See, again, like Time to Pretend is very much about that. I think Electric Feel is kind of about that too. But, here, sorry, let me go back to my notes, because I did write some notes down. Okay, yeah, I wrote Time to Pretend, Youth, and Electric Feel to me in different ways feel like that, get what you can while you can. And some of the other songs like Weekend Wars, Pieces of What, and Of Moon, Birds, and Monsters kind of have that, like, get what you can. You don't know how much time you're gonna have, because they do have this, like, apocalyptic vibe to them. I think Pieces of What often talks about just, like, how things are crumbling, like the pieces of the sky are falling down. Weekend Wars, at one point it's like, yeah, I could go to Arizona and grow a third arm. It's like, okay, we're dealing with Fallout now. I still haven't watched season 2 yet. Sorry, just remembered that exists. That, like, just came out and I need to follow up on it. And I don't think I wrote any of the lyrics down from Of Moons, Birds, and Monsters, but it was really cool. I remember just looking through it, I was like, oh, that's a really cool line. Ooh, that's a really cool line. Dang, I really like this song. Dude, this is just like a really good album. And then just go back to humming Kids, because it will never leave my freaking mind. Future Reflections. Oh, I don't think I wrote down the last line of that one. Did I write that one down? Fuck, I didn't. But I remember, it wasn't the last line. I think it's like the first line of the last verse. It was something along the lines of, is this just, it's something like, I don't know if this is just fortune or not, but all the pieces are coming together. And like, it's way better than I'm making it sound, but I remember listening to it as like, it was one that like really hit me, and I really appreciated it. And Handshake, which is, I feel like I've said this about basically the whole album, it's another song I really liked. It's a song about success and the paranoia that comes with it. Like that paranoia of losing what you have, of other people coming after you to take what you have. And it's like, are the people in your life, do they really care about you, or do they just care about, do they want you and care about you, or do they only want and care about what you can give them? And I bring that one up last because I think it's a really good transition into Congratulations, because Congratulations is very much, to me, an album about success and how it feels to be successful, but really it's about how lonely success is and how, like, vapid this all feels. I guess the three things is, number one, it overall feels a lot more authentic, especially because, yeah, from what I understand, a lot of Oracular Spectacular was very tongue-in-cheek. This one, to me, doesn't feel like that. Number two, which kind of bouncing off of that, this might be a weird comparison, but it reminded me of listening to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, because that is also an album about someone who was very successful and looking back on their life and looking back on just a lot of the terrible things that they have done and the relationships they've destroyed, the bridges they've burned, and having a very honest look at themselves. This album, two very different genres. One is, a rap album. This one, I think I've heard it as described as like psychedelic rock, and yeah, I feel like that sounds pretty accurate. And I also feel like Migment, I think I am just gonna roll with that pronunciation, it's just fun to say. Migment's Congratulations feels a lot less toxic, I guess I know is maybe the word I want to use, but it feels less toxic than My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, but I like both of them for their authenticity and their vulnerability. The other thing I wanted to point out before I go into some of the specific tracks is I really love the cover art. Number one, like I'm just a sucker for like a fun cartoon, but if you haven't seen it, it's like this giant tidal wave that looks like a saber-toothed cat and this like Bubsy looking dog cat thing on a surfboard just like looking around. Like there's part of it that's looking back at the wave, part of it that's just looking forward, part of it that's looking over here. It looks great. I love it. It perfectly to me encapsulates the theme of the album, which is kind of going back to Time to Pretend. You're riding that wave of success for as long as you can, while constantly looking back and looking over your shoulder. So some of the handshake in there too, until it consumes you and you drown. And I think a lot of the songs really, to various degrees, kind of hit that. I did not write the songs in order. This is like, I just kind of wrote them in order of like they came to mind. This is not the track list. This is also not like a list of like my ranking of my favorite songs. Although I did write my favorite song first. That's I Found a Whistle. That's the only other song that has been potentially stuck in my... Like, it's the only song to compete with Kids for room in my brain. Not to say I don't like any of the other songs in either album. Not to say that any of them aren't catchy. But here's a song that is just so ding-dang catchy. It's going to never leave my brain. And here's a song that just really resonates with me. About finding that thing, whatever it is, whether it's music, it's writing, whether it's just a person or a walk with nature, having that whistle around your neck that whenever you start not feeling okay, you can blow on it and it can calm you down. What was one of the lines where I think it's like, it was either like it calms my mind every time, or it's like it turns off my mind every time. And I think it was the latter. But it's like, yeah, like when your thoughts get loud and it gets dark, something that can just turn that off and you feel better. And you got it. You got it this time. Love that. Then you've got, like Brian Eno, which is someone I've never heard of before, from what I understand, like a very well-regarded musician, very influential musician. And on the one hand, it does feel like, yeah, this is like an authentic tribute to a musician that they like, that Migment likes and appreciates. But also, it does kind of have that vibe of, I think it's like a recurring South Park joke where it's like Simpsons did it. It's like, cool, like we want to do all this cool shit, but this guy already did it. It's like, we're always following in his footsteps because he's already done this cool shit and it's great. He's awesome, but it's kind of frustrating. Like, that's kind of the vibe I got. And the just kind of vibe of the song had like a weird Halloween feel to it. And I don't know, I kind of thought that was fun. And to me, it kind of contributed to that sense of like frustration. At first I was like, is Brian Eno like a real person, or is he this like metaphorical monster? I don't know. I don't know what's funnier. But, like there was that. There's Lady Dada's Nightmare, which is this pure instrumental track that's, I don't know, like, it kind of has that dreamlike quality from Oracular Spectacular before just becoming a full-on nightmare by the end, and it's great. Like, listening to it a second time especially, because the first time I was like, oh yeah, this is really nice, this is really pleasant. Where is all that screaming coming from? And the second time through, like, the beginning is still serene, but there's something kind of ominous to it, too, like, almost vaguely threatening. So then when the screaming kicks in, I'm like, okay, I think I was a little more prepared for it this time. And, I mean, I guess kind of going back to the theme, you could definitely argue, it's like, maybe that's kind of what it's like. At first, you're chasing success, and, it feels good, or that when you finally get it, you're like, this is nice, this is good. And then the panic sets in, because now you have expectation, now you have, other people coming after you. I mean, like, okay, like, what are you going to do next? What can I get from you? And you're just screaming internally. Let's see. What does that even say? Addicted to the... Huh? Sorry, I'm looking at the next song, which is It's Working. And to me, It's Working definitely had that feel of, like, this is how it... of being successful, but feeling like you're not loved. And I think I wrote that for another song. It was also for Someone's Missing. Like, that sense of loneliness where, despite having this success, you feel seen, but not really known, and not really loved. And both of them kind of had that too. But I also wrote for It's Working, addicted to the... And I don't know what that next word says. Like, I think I tried to write, like, you're addicted to the rush and, like, to all of, like, those vibes. But it looks like like, addicted to the hash. What the fuck does that even mean? So I don't know, but it was kind of like a vibe I got. Like, Flash Delirium definitely just feels overwhelming. Just like there's a lot going on. You're being compared, but you'll never be as good as the Rolling Stones. That was what was the full line? It's something like, the hot dogs are cold, but you'll never be as big as the Rolling Stones. I don't know. That line just kind of made me laugh. But there was that. Siberian Breaks definitely also had... Like, this one I actually wrote some lines down. It was... Sorry, I'm looking at it, but I can barely read my handwriting. It's something open arms can feel so cold. Maybe that's like why or when. But like, open arms can feel so cold. If you're conscious, you must be depressed. But it's not enough. Also, Siberian Breaks is just a really cool song. It's like 12 minutes. And it's weird. Because there have been times where I've listened to songs, I'm like, this feels like a long song. I'm like, this is going to be a 12-minute song. It's like a quarter of the album. Okay. Wait, this is a banger. Like, this is just, like, really good. It doesn't feel like it's 12 minutes long. I really liked it. There's the title track, Congratulations, which definitely, to me, just had that feeling of how empty success is. Song for Dan Treaky. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I think that's the last one for me to talk about. Is I remember reading a YouTube comment, because that's just where I watched or listened to all the songs, that kind of echoed what I was thinking, where it's like the energy of the song is like, this song feels like how the cover art looks. And I thought that was just really funny. Like, yeah, I kind of agree with that. But to me, this also kind of felt like it's about someone like who used to be successful. It's like, this is a creator who's not as in the public eye anymore. People being like, yeah, where did he go? Like, what is he up to? Who's still kind of chasing that success. Like, you're almost addicted to it, don't know what to do without it, but you're trying to find inspiration wherever you can. And then finally he makes up his mind. It's like, okay, like maybe he's got something. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of spitballing and bullshitting a little bit there, but overall, I think these are albums that are really distinct from each other, which I think is really cool. Like I don't know, like I think back to like Linkin Park, because I listened to Linkin Park's albums last year. So you got Hybrid Theory, like, okay, this is what Linkin Park's sound is. And then Meteora, which is more or less that. Maybe not quite the same, but like about 90%. And then you get Minutes to Midnight, which is like, okay, still mostly that, but a little bit different. I would say it's about, maybe 80% Meteora, so it's maybe like 85% Meteora, like 80% Hybrid Theory. Still mostly that. I don't remember the name of the next album, but I think it was the one that sounded a lot more like electronic, to the point where I was like, if I didn't know this was Linkin Park, I would have not guessed. Was that Thousand Suns? No, I think there was one before, like, in between Midnight and Thousand Suns. I might be wrong about that. And then I think it was from that point, like, every album really felt and sounded different. And I will say this, it's not to say that I enjoyed all of those, but I will always respect an artist for trying something different, whether it's, this is the sound we're known by, but we want to do something different because, you know, like, we feel like we want to challenge ourselves as artists, or this is a sound like we kind of did everything we wanted to here. I want to try something different. I want to experiment. Sometimes it is just, I want to become more commercially successful, but hey, if it sounds good, it sounds good. So I do think it's really cool, though, that Migment's first album and the second album just sound so different right off the bat. And I have no idea if that's what I should expect going forward. Because I know the next one's the self-titled album. If that's going to be more like Oracular Spectacular, which from what I understand, that's kind of more of a one-off, and the other albums aren't going to sound like that. If it's going to be like a similar vibe to Congratulations, it just might be like thematically different. Or if, no, every album is basically its own genre. We'll see how that goes. But as far as I'm concerned, they're 2 for 2 with 2 really good albums and at least one song that will never leave my head.